Hey, it's David Breeze Flippers. It's a Friday. I thought I'd give a quick update. Had a couple good sales last night. Nothing yet today. Kind of odd. Really slow. The day before kind of slowed down a little bit. So still a good sales week, but not a lot of sales. Hoping the weekend picks up a little bit. I flipped on my YouTube this morning like I normally do while I'm working. And boy, there's a lot of drama out there with resellers right now. I don't want to get caught up in the drama. Honestly, I don't. There's a lot of stuff that happened yesterday regarding some stuff on District where the DibDit 8 basically combined into one market. There's some drama regarding that too, but honestly, I mean, I get it. There's some issues. There's some bad actors out there and things that are causing some problems that may have caused all this drama, but you know what, in the end, we're all God's children, and I hope we can all figure out a way to get along. But that's not what this channel is going to be about. I'm not going to deal with the drama. What I am going to deal with today, though, is I'm wondering if anybody saw some of the new eBay announcements for September. I think these are the fall announcements, but got a little bit more information on the feedback policy changes, and I think you want to pay attention to this. And I did have a couple good sales yesterday, and I am going to post the video where I picked that up at some point today as well. So I might throw a picking video out there. Yes, finally going to try and get one done and do something with that. So let's get started.
Find it, flip it, ship it, wear Breeze Flippers. Keep it moving. Find it, flip it, ship it, repeat. Breeze Flippers.
So like I said, this is a drama-free channel. The only drama I have in my life are 2 daughters, a grandson, son-in-law, and a wife, and you know, all the other stuff that goes along with that. So that's all the drama a guy needs, to be honest with you. The biggest drama I have is my hair is falling out, but hey, I'm 59, I'm allowed. Anyway, I did have a couple good sales yesterday. I do want to show those, but I am going to pop them up on the screen at the same time because I have them in plastic. I always wrap my stuff. I put it in a poly bag, and mainly because I want to put a sticker on it, because that way I can identify it. And but I put them in poly bags. Most of my stuff, almost everything, goes in a poly bag. It's just easy for me. Then I can pop a sticker on it, put it in the right bin. That goes in my inventory system. But did have a couple good sales. We'll cover those real quick. And we're going to talk about, or really want to talk about today, is the feedback policy on eBay. I think we all need to pay attention to it because while they kind of touted some really good stuff, automatic feedback and all that stuff in the eBay Open, there's a caveat. I told you there's a caveat. It's coming, and we're going to talk about that real quick. But first of all, let's talk about what's sold. And if I can find it here. Okay, first thing that sold was, and I will pop it up on the screen, we did sell a vintage Pokemon Gold version Nintendo Game Boy. So this came in a case, and I did test it. I popped it apart as well to make sure it was clean. I actually cleaned it and did everything with it. Tested perfectly, but this is the gold version. I had it listed for $69.99. I really did list it at the very top. It was above everybody else's. I knew it wouldn't sell for that. I was hoping I'd get an offer around $50, and sure enough, I did. It was $49, and this is going out with $5.99 shipping, and couldn't be happier with that. And then, not to be outdone, same purchase, same buy, same garage sale. I picked up the Pokemon Blue version Nintendo Game Boy, and with a case, and this one sold full price for $49.99. Just a little less than the gold one. Now, apparently, I'm not a big Pokemon person. I don't know a lot about the games or the DS, but I think there's 5 colors of these, and people collect all 5. If you can get all 5, it's worth a good amount of money. I've seen them go as high as $250 for working ones. Now, inside of these, I did learn there are batteries. So the batteries can go bad after a while, but they can be replaced if you know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing, therefore I'm not going to replace the battery. But I did test them. The game played. I don't know what the battery does. My assumption is the battery helps save the game. I'm not sure. Somebody could tell me in the comments. I'd love to know because I'm always wanting to learn. But anyway, but did sell this. Again, it was $49.99. Now, it's interesting though. A guy sent me an offer for $45. And I looked at it and I was going to take it, but I didn't have time last night. I just thought, oh, I'll let it marinate, you know, until the morning. And I come in this morning and it actually sold. No, actually, it sold last night about 10 o'clock. So I was just kind of letting it sit there because I was working on listings, and it sold for full price. Same guy. So he sent an offer and then quickly decided, nah, I really want that game. It's worth the extra $5 or whatever it was. $4, $4.99, $5. Anyway, so that's going out with $5.99 shipping as well. So not a bad week, guys. Like now they're sitting at $639. So, you know, again, I'm a part-time reseller. Anything above 400 or 500 is good for me because that pays the bills every week. So it pays the bills for the business. It puts money in the bank for sourcing, and it helps. Trust me, because there are overhead expenses with any business. We have software and we have different things that we pay for out of the business. Doesn't come out of my pocket, so the business pays for all of that, which is what you want, all those expenses and such. So anyway, it does help, and so I'm excited about that. And I think we'll still have a good weekend. I sent out a lot of offers this week. Seems like a lot of comic offers too, which is really cool. And I'm getting ready to pop up a whole bunch of new listings and stuff too. So tomorrow I'm hoping it's a good sourcing day, but to be honest with you, they're talking about rain, which is, it just seems like as we start to get things going, it's going to rain. But I think next weekend, if I'm not mistaken, is it next weekend or the weekend after? It's the weekend after, is Flee Across Florida. So I'm banking all my money for that. So that's going to be a big weekend for me. I'm going to try to drop a grand in just sourcing and see if we can't do something fun with that. So I'm excited about it. So anyway, that's not a bad week. I'm not complaining. Again, I'm sure we'll probably hit a few sales today and over the weekend. I'm kind of hoping that this picks up, and I'm really hoping we get $1,000 week. So that would be awesome, right? Sales are going to pick up anyway, guys. We're starting to head into that fourth quarter. So it's important to make sure that we've got everything ready. So that's going to be a big deal. So now let's talk about this. eBay had announced some changes to their feedback policy and seller protections. Now I want to make sure I get it right. So I'm going to kind of look over here. If you see me looking off to the side, it's because I'm trying to give you actual information here. Okay, but here it is. So the feedback policy, there's some good news to it. Obviously the good news was what they announced. And there's some news that's going to make you want to bang your head on the table, but this is just the way it goes with eBay, guys. Either way, starting September 3rd, this is what you're going to need to know. All right, so first of all, automatic positive feedback. And I did say this came with a caveat. I told you it came with a caveat. So, but it's good. If you do everything right, you ship on time, the buyer doesn't open any case, and they don't leave a feedback, eBay is going to automatically leave you that feedback. Why are they doing that? Well, because you do everything right, you bust your tail, you get everything delivered, and the buyer can't, bother to click a button to actually leave you feedback, you're going to get credit for the sale, right? Which is what they do on Mercari. They automatically leave feedback. Now, there's a reason for this, guys. We talked about it before. I said they won't give you something unless something else is going to happen. And part of this is not eBay's fault. I will tell you that much. Some of this is actually because of the new FTC laws that are coming out. So the bad news is this, okay? So return feedback probably won't be removed now. It's not going to be removed. So so this is where you're going to kind of feel a squeeze, right? So eBay is tightening the feedback removal around returns. So before, if you offered free returns, you handled it correctly, refunded the buyer, or deducted money from the damaged return. However, eBay usually covered that negative feedback to it, right? So they would usually remove it because they covered it. So not anymore. Starting September 3rd, if the buyer leaves you a neutral or negative over return, it's probably going to stick. Even if you follow the rules, even if you refunded properly, it's going to stick. And this is because the new FTC's new rule on fake reviews. eBay doesn't want to look like they're scrubbing out negative opinions. So they're drawing the line. So abuse, you're still protected. If you get abuse, that's still going to be protected. Opinion, just their opinion, it's going to stay, guys. So I don't think that's going to be, for some of you, it's not going to be a big deal. For some of us, it is. I mean, I like to keep my feedback at 100%. Many of you do. I feel like I work hard for that. I get really good feedback. And when I do get a negative feedback, more than often it's deserved, but I try not to get it, right? So what feedback is still going to be removed? So we don't want to panic completely, right? Not all seller protections are dead. There's still some out there. eBay's trying to still help the sellers, but a buyer can see a buyer never paid or asked to cancel. Those feedbacks are going to still be removed. If a buyer is abusive, makes false claims, extortion, foul language, personal info threats, anything that's basically against you, that's negative in that sense, they're going to remove that. If tracking provides you that you shipped on time and the complaint was just a carrier delay, they're going to remove that. And then like customs fees, weather's delays, or any other outside of your control, they're still going to remove those. So if the buyer's being shady, you're still protected, right? So really what's going to get us is the buyers that you just can't make happy. And let's be honest, there are some, right? So there's some people you just can't make happy. Goes back to the drama thing. But anyway, we're going to leave that alone. So anyway, so if we contrast that a little bit with what they made in the announcements at eBay, This is what got interesting. At eBay Open, they hyped up the enhanced seller protections, especially for items not received. But remember the catch on that. See, you only get that protection if you use eBay shipping labels. Now, I know a lot of you use eBay shipping labels. I know some of you don't, because I have received some stuff where people went and paid full price for that shipping label. And I really want to email them and say, hey, can I explain something to you guys so you don't lose money? Because they shipped me a $3 comic and paid $9 to ship it. Ooh, anyway, that one hurt. So, but yeah, so you're going to have to use their labels. And I know some of you do. A lot of you do, because I hear people talking about, oh, we print out all of our labels and then we do all. I don't know how you do that, honestly. How do you do that? I always get in there and decide that it's a different size box or make it smaller or different weight. I could never print out my labels and then do that. So I always box it, size it, weigh it, and then print out the label. Anyway, that's just me. If there's a different way of doing it and you got an easier way, I'd love to hear it. Because again, like I said, I'm learning all the time too. But this is the that part of it is the catch. Again, you have to use eBay shipping labels. Use your labels and we'll protect you from the item not received claims. But when it comes to returns, sorry, it's just the buyer's opinion. That's going to stay. So, you know, if they're not happy and they get something, even though you return it, chances are that's going to stay. So what does that mean for you? Probably not going to get the feedback removed. You're going to have to learn to write a nice rebuttal, not a mean one, but a nice one. Because remember, people do read that, and people will read and say, well, that guy was just acting like an a-hole. I don't know why I would even consider that. So I'm still going to buy from this guy. So, or they can look at you and go, man, that seller's an a-hole. I don't want to buy from this guy. So just remember that whatever you put on there, people do see. They might look at it. I look at feedback. Every time I buy from anybody, I look at their feedback. I want to make sure I'm going to be dealing with the person that I feel comfortable with. So you can take that with a grain of salt, but I do see a lot of people that rebuttal to their feedback, and it is vicious. It's not necessary, guys. Just use some decorum, okay? Anyway, so what does this all mean for us? Well, ship on time, upload your tracking, use eBay labels. Those are really more important. If you want the advanced INR, you know, item not received protections, you need to do that. Now, there's a lot of reasons why people don't use eBay labels. The main reason I did was because I could use Pirate Ship and I get points on my card. Now, I did learn that you can, I think, make it so that PayPal is your main payment and then you use a card on your PayPal. Honest to gosh, I've tried this 3 times now and I cannot get it to work. Even though the card is set up, the PayPal account's set up, there's something I'm missing in there somewhere, so I got to figure that out. If I can get that to work, I'll just use eBay labels. The other issue with eBay labels, in my opinion, is that in Pirate Ship, if something weighs 15.8 ounces, I can put 15.8 ounces in there and it'll give me the below 1 pound weight. But on eBay, they tell you have to move up to the next weight. Doesn't make any sense. Honestly, I think you can get away with it 15.8, putting 15 in there, because I think it's the same shipping regardless. But sometimes it does make a difference. I have made, I've seen it where I've dropped 3 ounces on something and it did make a difference in price. So that one's going to get hard to get used to. But the other thing you can do is making sure that you write clear, bulletproof descriptions so buyers can't ding you later for not reading. You want to make sure that you put that information. I mean, it's not recommended, but if there's something in particular I really want somebody to read, I will put it in the description line. I'll say read. I hate doing that, but honestly, if you don't do that, sometimes I think they miss it. And I've still had people miss stuff, especially that, especially in items that are non-returnable, or in the sense that they're sold as is, which eBay is upping that as well. That's another thing. I didn't really even mention that, but eBay is changing the way that you can do items that are for parts of repair. That I think it's going to pop up something that says this is for parts and repair, and they're only going to have like 3 days to make any decisions or dispute that once they get it, which is a good thing, right? Because I have sent out items for parts of repair and they go back and go, hey, this isn't working. I'm like, well, no, duh. I sold it for parts of repair. It says in the description, not working, parts of repair. So, because there's a lot of people who'll buy that stuff and fix it, right? So I don't get it. So anyway, but they are going to start kind of doing a change on that, so it protects you a little bit more. So again, eBay's trying to do the right things, but their hands are tied with this FTC stuff, and it is going to, I think it's going to play down the road. We're going to see, you know, the whole reason why they're giving us the automatic feedback is because that number gets bigger. So if you sell, like we sell probably, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 items in a year, maybe, I don't know. If we get 20% feedback, that seems about normal. I mean, I've got a lot of sales, but my feedback doesn't match the number of sales. So now what will happen is every time you get something and you don't have any problems, you're going to get an automatic feedback. So that number becomes big, right? So your metrics are going to work better. So you have more sales, it's going to be more metrics, more, you know, feedback. So if you do get a negative, it's not going to hurt as much. You might go to 99.8. I was at 99.8 for the longest time because I had one negative feedback, and it wasn't my fault, but I still got it. So anyway, you know, there was the reason why they wanted to do that. But again, feedback system is never really a perfect thing anyway. And I do know that some people, you know, do look at feedback. I do think that it can be important, but it's not important on everything. I mean, I see somebody that has a negative feedback on one item, it's not going to dissuade me from buying. It just means that I'll look at it and go, you know, it happens. But, you know, if they had 70 or 80 or 85% feedback and you were like, and they were like not shipped on time or this or that, I mean, you start to really look at it, right? So if you're doing your job right, you get one negative feedback, you're not going to lose any sleep over it because you're going to get a lot more positives, and that number is going to be a lot easier to deal with. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are. You think it's fair? Do you like the way this is going? Do you think that it's going to make any difference with all the positive feedback you're going to get? Or are you kind of worried now that it's going to give buyers a little bit more firepower on their side to kind of bring you down? Or, I mean, I'm just curious what everybody else thinks, because I do think there's some sides to it that eBay's going to be put in a very tough situation, because they're going to have to kind of play both sides of the fence, right? They're going to have to try and do everything they can to protect their sellers, but at the same time, they're being forced to also protect the buyers. And they've always kind of traditionally protected the buyers, in my opinion, a lot more than sellers on some situations. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see what you guys think and see what you think's happening on that, because I think that it's going to be interesting for the next year, especially, you know, we're coming in the fourth quarter. And we're starting this in September, so it could be good. So, but overall, guys, that's kind of what's going on. I just thought I'd drop something today and kind of show you guys. Like I said, I'm kind of hoping the sales pick up this weekend. It did slow down a little bit, so it is interesting that it did slow down. What's really interesting to me, though, is that these just listed like Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and they've sold that quickly. But it's funny that they sold almost at the exact same time. So if you do find those DS games like that, especially the Pokemon or those really popular ones, I would definitely pick them up. And I picked those up for, well, I think I had 19 games and a baseball bat. I picked them up for $20. So, you know, $1 each is where I'm at on that. So I think, and I've already sold a couple of the PSP games. So I think I pretty much made that buy back. So every once in a while we make good buys, guys, every once in a while. So, but anyway, that's where we're at. We still looking at numbers. You know, I keep looking at it every week, and we are slowly creeping up. So we're just a few percent ahead of where we were last year at this time. But like I said, I'm thinking we're going to have a good fourth quarter. We had a really bad second quarter, so making up for that. So, but we're blowing away the third quarter, basically pulling back and making up all those numbers. So, but you know, I find it's interesting is that the total number of buyers were down 22% for the year. So our average sales price is up like 35%, but our numbers are down 22% for the number of buyers. So that's kind of interesting in my opinion. It's something to look at. So why do we have less buyers? So less people buying, but they're buying more, and they're buying bigger paid items. As far as like promoted sales and such go, I'm still 50-50. I'm still actually higher on my organic sales than I am on my promoted sales. So, and I am promoting at about between 3 and 4%. That's my max if I promote. That's where I fit in with my profit and my business. It works the best for me. So I probably could push a few more of those up just to kind of see if I can get some traction on them. But at this point, I don't really need to, because, you know, like I said, I sold like a $170 comic this week, and literally the fees and everything, I think the total final fees after everything was, I got $141. And then I still had to pay for shipping, which that one cost me $11 to ship. So, which I still made money on, guys. Don't get me wrong. I made quite a bit of money on that comic. I think I had $35 into it with the grading and everything. So, I mean, I made good money on it, but it just kind of goes things you got to think about, right? Promotion cost, everything else that costs with it to get something sold. And I do think it's becoming more and more competitive. Maybe the number of sellers are down, or I don't know. I've heard different numbers and different things about that. So we'll have to kind of see what's going on with that. So, but anyway, I hope your week goes great, guys. Your weekend gets picked up and you guys make some great sales. Don't get caught up in the drama, all right? It's not necessary. I think we can all just get along. And listen, get a chance, come over to the Dibdit, dibdit.com. Use Breeze Flips, and you'll get $5 off your first $10 purchase. Let's make that happen, guys. It's fun. You got to come over and check this out. You're getting some really good sourcing opportunities. We're going to be on there again on Friday night, and we're going to enjoy that as well. So anyway, I hope you all have a great day, a great weekend. Stay safe. I'm David, Breeze Flippers. We'll see you.
Find it, flip it, ship it, wear Breeze